if I just walked over to Calvin Theological Seminary with a nice, awesome cloak, walked into a room, threw it on an individual, and walked back out, most people would say, Joel, don't come back here again. So this is a pretty fascinating passage, and I'm very glad that it's our last one that we're focusing on, because it really sets us in a good place as individuals, for sure, but also as a group, as a congregation, in terms of mission. And of course, we went through our mission and vision stuff earlier in the year, and with all this moving forward as the Caledonia Gathering, it's good to focus on mission. But before we get to that part, we need to discuss the symbolism in today's passage. So we got a slide here. We got a couple symbols happening in today's passage. The 12 yoke of oxen, the cloak, Elijah's kind of interesting response to Elisha, asking if he could go kiss his father and mother goodbye. And then there's the burning of the equipment and the burning of the cooking of the meat, I should say. So yeah, we're going to talk about these four things. And again, please grace for my voice, guys. Sorry, you have to listen to me. But anyways, starting with the 12 yoke of oxen. And Rowan, you answered already. Andrew, what were there 12 of in Israel? Why is that number special? 12 tribes. So there's Elisha out in the field with 12 yoke of oxen, working hard, and we are to certainly see this as a representation of Israel, the children of God at work. Have any of you ever seen ox or cows tied up on a yoke and actually working in a field? Anyone? One, two. I've only seen pictures. Now, is it easy work what these oxen are doing when they're pulling that plow through the earth? It looks obviously a little difficult. It's not easy work. Even the person behind trying to control that blade, it's hard work. It's hard work. It's a lot of labor. So we are to see this moment of Elijah, the prophet of God, approaching this scene of a young man who's faithful and working amidst the tribes, if you will, of Israel. If you want to go a little bit deeper into some symbolism here as well, we're to understand, excuse me, this yoke upon the oxen as the yoke of sin, actually. And the struggle and the labor that comes with that difficulty of struggling under the yoke of sin. And so Elijah approaches this scene, and what does he do? He throws his cloak upon Elisha. Since I was a child, I always visualized this scene as the oddest of scenes. First off, fields are not small, right? So if you're plowing behind some oxen and you see someone, you're going to see him for a little bit. And you're going to see them walking towards you for a little bit, right? And it's not easy to walk. Have you ever walked in a field that's been plowed, right? It's kind of lumpy and stuff and whatnot. I mean, it took some effort from Elijah to approach Elisha, and with no words spoken, by the way, takes off his cloak, covers him, and doesn't remain still for a response, because what did the text say? Elisha then left his oxen and ran after Elijah. So Elijah entered this field, took off his cloak, put it on Elisha, and then just kept walking away. As a kid, I thought that was the weirdest way to claim someone. To claim someone, and that's what's happening in our text. Obviously, Elisha understands what's going on here, but we need to understand with a little bit more clarity. What does a cloak do? Who wears a cloak? I mean, there's some people out there that still wears a cloak at this day and age, right? It's basically just a blanket, right? A blanket around you. Maybe you got something to tie up. Maybe you got some cool, sweet, awesome pockets on the inside. You got little knickknacks in your cloak, right? But for this day and age, the cloak, when they're traveling, it's kind of that last bit of protection from the world, right? If you're traveling on this journey, what kept Elijah warm? His cloak. It was essentially his home, his person. So Elisha, in this very moment, understands that as Elijah approaches him and puts his cloak on him, Elijah is covering Elisha with himself. Elijah is saying, you are going to be mine now. You're going to be my student. You're going to be my servant. My identity is now your identity. It's an interesting way to do it. I don't think I could pull that off in this day and age. If I just walked over to Calvin Theological Seminary with a nice, awesome cloak, walked into a room, threw it on an individual, and walked back out, most people would say, Joel, don't come back here again, right? But Elisha understands what's going on. So this cloak, and I want you to remember it this way. The yoke of this cloak. This is going to be the new yoke that Elisha operates under. Instead of the yoke of his actual oxen in this actual field, this cloak, this identity, this mission of Elijah as a prophet for the Lord is going to be the new yoke that Elisha operates under. Now, Elisha's response. What have I done to you? Not too much symbolism per se. It's just such an interesting response, but it also sets the tone for this yoke of the cloak of a prophet of God. What have I done to you? It's essentially saying that I have not done something to you that hinders your ability to say goodbye to your mom, to your dad, to your family. Right? As a kid, again, reading this passage, hearing about this passage, I'm like, why did Elijah say it that way? He's like, why didn't he just say, sure, and just move on? Or that's fine with me, and move on. But he says, what have I done to you? Elisha, because sometimes you can be confused, right? Because obviously Elisha is to be moving on in mission, moving on in identity. I have a new yoke. But Elijah, in this little response here, the way he phrases it says, it's still okay. It's still okay to say goodbye to your father and to your mother, to your family. So the burning then of the equipment and the cooking of the meat. So this work in the field, we've already talked about it. Now it is the past. This work being done is in the past. The burning of this equipment, the cooking of this meat, isn't necessarily a burning of that past work and labor. It's just more so a statement that he, Elisha, cannot go back to that past anymore. It's not an option. His life now and into the future is different. Now, is that to say, again, you could be confused. Well, was he like sinning by, like, should he have already been trying to follow Elijah or something like that? Or no, it's just a representation, that hard line in the sand or the ground, or however you're supposed to say it, that Elisha cannot return back to that past. He is now and into the future working in a new field, the spiritual field of the people of God amidst the 12 tribes of Israel. So he has that yoke upon him of Elijah, and he is working now in the field, the spiritual field of the 12 tribes of Israel. And that's the simplicity of the passage for today. And the future is set. The future is set for the people of God. And what I would like us to do as we just think about these symbols and think about what's happening in this passage is to consider how we are workers now in the field of God's people. Jesus says that about us. In Matthew 11, 28 through 30, Jesus says this: "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Today, we are like Elisha. We are like Elisha because we have been covered in the cloak of the righteousness of Jesus Christ. Because of his work upon the cross, because of his death and resurrection, we are covered in his identity. So we have the yoke of the cloak of Jesus Christ. So there you go. Here's the picture right here of what a yoke would look like. I think my Opa had a yoke or something like that up in his house. He had it just on the wall or something like that, remembering the good old days back in the Netherlands. But anywho. So we today are the new spiritual workers in the field of God's people. And this is made possible not because we did anything about it. What was Elisha doing, right? He wasn't following Elijah around and saying, "Hey, pick me. I'm faithful, I'm this, I'm that, I'm everything." No, he was just working. Elijah came to him, claimed him. That's exactly what Christ has done for us. We didn't do anything to be claimed by the identity of Jesus Christ. He claimed us because of grace, because of love, and because of his faithfulness. And so we have to, first off, understand that Jesus covers us in his cloak of righteousness. That means we're under his yoke of grace and mercy and love. It means that we have a job now. What's that job, Rowan? We're workers in the field of people. Jesus said, be fishers of men, right? That's another way to say it. We have a job now. This cloak of righteousness doesn't stop just inside of you. There's work to be done. There is work to be done. And so that's kind of the application, the thought that I want all of us to think about. Do you struggle right now between that allegiance to the old equipment, if you will, or to the yoke of Jesus Christ? Now, what do I mean by that allegiance to that old equipment? Because none of us are out there in the field plowing with yoke and oxen. What's that version of our thing today? Well, it's more so putting in effort in your daily life to find stability, to find happiness, to find pleasure, but not in the name of the Lord. Saying that money is going to save me, saying that the perfect job is going to save me, saying that the perfect people that I surround myself with is going to save me. Being busy is going to save me and give me fulfillment in life. We yoke ourselves to such things. And the question is your allegiance, if you will, are you dedicated to that yoke of the past, of finding fulfillment elsewhere out there in the world, or is your yoke of fulfillment truly in the name of Jesus Christ? Because if it is, that means, well, first off, you're under that yoke of grace. But again, there's some work to be done. There's some things to do about that. There's some people to go and teach, to go spend time with, to go plant the seeds of the gospel